When you both are truly meant to be together, these 5 things always happen. There are loves that burn bright and disappear, and there are loves that feel like the slow return of light after a long winter. Gentle, inevitable, rooted. When 2 people are truly meant to be together, it doesn't always look like fireworks. Often it looks like quiet gravity. Small, steady pulls that rearrange your life until you can't imagine it any other way. Today, I want to tell you about 5 things that always happen when destiny isn't a coincidence. When 2 souls are tuned to the same frequency, when being together is less a choice and more a truth. Listen closely. These are the signs that whisper, not shout. Subscribe now to Psych Secrets and be part of a journey where every video inspires you to see life with a new perspective. 1. Conversation feels like coming home. When you finally meet someone meant for you, words stop being tools and become bridges. You'll notice the strange, effortless conversations. The kind where silence is not awkward because it's comfortable, where half sentences complete themselves, where a single look can unpack a week's worth of feelings. Imagine this, it's late. You're both exhausted, but you stay up talking about something small. An old song, a childhood memory, a stupid joke that makes you both laugh until you forget to breathe. There's no performance. You don't have to explain why you need to pause. They simply wait, and when you speak again, they hear you as if they were listening all along. Psychologically, this is rare. Most relationships start with impression management, dressing words in armor, carefully choosing what to reveal. But with someone meant for you, the armor drops. Vulnerability becomes natural. You see each other's flaws and fears, and instead of tallying reasons to run, you build maps to each other's wounds. That depth of mutual listening creates a safety net. Over time, the net holds more than conversations. It begins to hold decisions, dreams, griefs, and mournings. For your listeners, pause here. Let that image sink in. Home isn't a house. It's a voice that understands the weight behind your silence. 2. Time realigns, the small things grow big. When 2 people are meant to be, timing finds its rhythm. You'll discover coincidences turning into patterns. The way tiny rituals appear without planning. Texting the same song at the same hour, bumping into each other at the same cafe, or reaching for the same book on a rainy afternoon. Life begins to rearrange itself to accommodate the 2 of you. This is not magic in the cinematic sense. It's the slow alignment of priorities. You start to carve space for them without thinking, and they do the same. Appointments, travel plans, late shifts. They're no longer inconveniences but coordinates on a shared map. Where once you guarded your calendar fiercely, now you find joy in scheduling something small together. A 30-minute walk, a shared cup of tea, a private joke that transforms a workday into something golden. Spiritually, it's as if the universe nudges you. Psychologically, it's a sign of commitment, the subtle willingness to make room. And when the small things grow big, they create a foundation strong enough to hold storms. Long after the initial thrill fades, these tiny rituals remain, steady anchors that tether your hearts across ordinary days. If you're listening and you feel resistance to change, remember, when something or someone fits, you naturally make amendments to the life you thought fixed. That's not losing yourself. It's discovering that your life is larger than you once imagined. 3. Conflicts transform, not vanish, but deepen into understanding. People often expect meant-for-you relationships to be free of fights. That's a myth. What actually happens is more beautiful. Conflict becomes a path, not a cliff. You'll still argue. You'll still get hurt. But something different occurs. The fights no longer aim to win. They aim to connect. In those arguments, you find curiosity. Instead of scoring points, you ask questions. Instead of closing down, you open a window, small, deliberate, patient. You learn each other's triggers and the stories behind them. You stop assuming malice and start tracing history. There is a tenderness in the way you apologize. Apologies are not quick receipts tossed away. They are admissions of sight. You don't say sorry because it's expected. You say sorry because you recognize the cost of your mistake to someone whose heart you value. And forgiveness comes with effort. A changed behavior, a remembered promise, a softening that grows from both sides. This kind of conflict builds resilience. It's a recalibration, like two instruments tuning to match pitch. The fights teach you language for what you require and how to give it. They teach you endurance. And over time, this deepened understanding becomes proof that your bond is not fragile. It's adaptive. For your inner world mirrors, there's growth becomes mutual. When you're truly meant for one another, personal growth stops being a solo project. You don't just improve for yourself. You grow because together you see a better version of each other and you hold the mirror kindly. Notice the quiet ways this happens. You start reading different books or picking up a hobby they love, not out of obligation but curiosity. You find yourself facing fears you once avoided because this person's presence makes those fears feel smaller. They challenge you not to change who you are at the core, but to remove the layers that shield you from your own truth. This mutual growth can take many forms. Maybe they inspire you to be more honest with your emotions, or maybe your patience teaches them to sit with discomfort. Often, the change is subtle and cumulative. Small daily influences, like consistent encouragement or shared rituals of reflection, accumulate into deep transformation. Spiritually, it looks like two companions walking the same path, each carrying a lantern that helps the other see. Psychologically, it's an example of positive reinforcement. When someone supports your better self, you are far more likely to become that version of yourself. The result is a relationship that evolves, not stagnates. A continuous unfolding where both of you become more fully human because you had the courage to evolve together. 5. The world softens. You belong to each other's future. The final sign is the most subtle and the most sacred. The future starts to feel shared. The daydreams you used to entertain alone, moving cities, late-night kitchens, quiet children's footsteps, or even a life of two people traveling with battered backpacks. Those images begin to include them naturally. Your plans look different because their presence is assumed, not questioned. This is not about sacrificing dreams. It's about finding a new dream that contains both sets of wishes. You begin to make choices with we in mind. Financial decisions, career risks, moving closer to family, or learning how to be a parent if that's in your heart. The future doesn't erase individuality. It stitches it into a fabric that can be carried together. You'll also notice the softening of fear. Where once the thought of long-term commitment made your chest tighten, it now opens an ache of anticipation. The unknown remains unknown, but because you imagine it with them, it becomes less terrifying. The world, with all its noise and uncertainty, feels more patient when viewed through the lens of shared life. And then small confirmations arrive. They choose you in practical ways, they include you in decisions, they introduce you to late-night friends, they show up for the small tragedies and the boring weekdays. These acts, repeated without fanfare, are the loudest proof of belonging. Music swells slightly, then softens. When you're meant to be, it isn't a fairy tale that keeps you safe from sorrow. It's a quiet covenant that lets sorrow be bearable. It's less about destiny handing you a perfect person and more about two imperfect people choosing to become a whole. It's about honesty, the slow courage of showing up, and the gentle homework of loving someone well. If you listen for these 5 things, the home-like conversation, the realignment of time, conflict that leads to understanding, mutual growth, and a shared future, you'll begin to recognize the pattern. Not every relationship that shows one of these signs is the one. But when all 5 begin to weave together, you will feel that rare kind of certainty. Not flashy, but deep. Not loud, but unshakable. Before I close, a small promise. Love that matters doesn't erase your boundaries or your identity. It enhances them. It asks you to be braver, kinder, and more honest with yourself and with the person who walks beside you. Subscribe now to Psych Secrets and be part of a journey where every video inspires you to see life with a new perspective.